Over 40 million Americans will move in 2026, and at least a few thousand of them are heading straight into a mistake. We're sold this dream. Move somewhere cheaper, quieter, maybe warmer, and suddenly life's perfect. But what nobody tells you is some of these towns, they're cheap for a reason. Outdated infrastructure, invisible job markets, collapsing economies. Today, we're breaking down 15 U.S. locations that are not worth the risk in 2026, whether it's from skyrocketing crime, economic flatlines, or natural disasters that just keep coming back. Some will surprise you, like a scenic lake town that's literally swallowing people whole, or a retirement paradise with one of the fastest rising violent crime rates in the country. Think you know the worst places to move in America? Cool. Let's ruin that confidence together. And trust me, you're not ready for what's number one. It's famous, beautiful, and low-key terrifying. Choosing wrong isn't just inconvenient, it's a government blind spot level disaster. Subscribe if you like avoiding life-altering regrets before breakfast. Or don't, but just know your neighbor did, and now he lives in Pahrump. Let's break it down. Number 15. King Cove, Alaska. There's a town in America where a medical emergency can turn into a weather forecast, and sometimes the weather wins. Welcome to King Cove, Alaska. At first glance, King Cove looks like rugged postcard material. Ocean, mountains, bald eagles doing bald eagle things. But what nobody tells you is that this place isn't isolated in a quiet getaway way. It's isolated in a hope nothing goes wrong way. King Cove sits way out in the Aleutian Islands with the population hovering around a few hundred people. The local economy almost entirely dependent on commercial fishing and seafood processing. If fish prices dip, quotas change, or processing slows, the town feels it immediately. There's no backup industry waiting in the wings. Cost of living is the next punch. Groceries arrive by boat or plane, which means basic food costs can be double what you'd pay in the lower 48. Fuel is expensive. Shipping is expensive. Leaving town is expensive. Staying also expensive. Healthcare is the big red flag. King Cove has a small clinic, but no full hospital. Serious medical cases require evacuation, often by air. But then comes the problem nobody likes to talk about: weather delays. Fog, wind, and storms can ground planes for days. This isn't hypothetical. It's a known, ongoing risk. A local once summed it up online with brutal honesty. King Cove is beautiful until you need literally anything. Surprisingly, that sentence explains everything. Let's talk weather, not grab a jacket weather. I mean sideways rain, wind that bullies buildings, and fog that shows up like it owns the place. Plans here aren't canceled. They're laughed at. Nature runs the HOA. You're just renting space. Number 14. Lake Charles, Louisiana. Lake Charles has been rebuilt more times in 5 years than some cities renovate in 5 decades. But don't let the new paint fool you. It's still held together by plywood, duct tape, and blind optimism. Between Hurricane Laura, Delta, and more storms stacking up like overdue bills, Lake Charles has been hit by multiple billion-dollar disasters since 2020. Entire neighborhoods are still recovering, or not recovering at all. And while insurance companies quietly ghost homeowners, rebuilding costs have gone up. Now, add in crime. The violent crime rate in Lake Charles is 61% higher than the national average. According to Neighborhood Scout, that's not just a red flag, that's a whole marching band. Job market, it's a mixed bag. The petrochemical industry is still dominant, but it's cyclical and vulnerable. Meanwhile, new industries haven't exactly lined up at the door. Emotionally, it's exhausting. Between power outages, evacuations, and the looming what-if of the next hurricane season, disaster fatigue is real. Moving to Lake Charles in 2026 is like buying a car with flood damage, fire damage, and a really optimistic Carfax. Sure, it still runs, for now. Lake Charles might be the only city where your air conditioner, car tires, and sanity all break down in the same week, and none of it surprises you. Number 13. Hildale, Utah. In Hildale, Utah, you can buy a house for under $200,000, live near stunning red cliffs, and accidentally join a cult. That's not a metaphor. That's a Tuesday. Hildale is a tiny town on the Utah-Arizona border, nestled against the beauty of Zion National Park. Sounds peaceful, right? But what nobody tells you is this town has one of the strangest, messiest backstories in modern American history, and it's still unfolding. This was once the heart of the FLDS Church, the offshoot of Mormonism led by convicted felon Warren Jeffs. Yes, that guy. As in the multiple wives, underage marriages, and federal prison guy. Since Jeffs' downfall, Hildale's been trying to rebuild its image. But healing from decades of insular theocratic rule isn't exactly something you fix with a mural and a welcome sign. Population just over 1,000 and shrinking. Median household income around $30,000, significantly below national average. Job market limited, mostly construction, agriculture, or seasonal tourism work. A Reddit user once said, "Moving to Hildale is like moving into someone else's family feud, and you didn't even get invited." Emotionally, it's isolating. The tight-knit community can be hard to break into, especially if you're not from the area, don't share the faith, or ask too many questions. Hildale has everything you could want. Quiet nights, beautiful views, and a casual history of authoritarian polygamy. All that, and a Dollar General. The roads are fine until they're not, and don't even try to get reliable cell service near the canyon. Number 12. North Tulsa, Oklahoma. In 2023, a local news station aired a segment called "Why North Tulsa Feels Forgotten." And the worst part, it wasn't even the first time. Let's be clear, Tulsa is not a bad city. Parts of it are growing, innovating, even paying people to move there. But North Tulsa, that's where the story changes. This area has deep historical scars. It's where the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre happened. And while the buildings were rebuilt, the trust, not so much. Violent crime rate among the highest in Tulsa. Some neighborhoods in North Tulsa report rates nearly 3 times the national average. Median income around $27,000, significantly lower than the city average. Housing? Yes, it's cheap. You can buy a house under $100,000, but you'll likely need to invest $30,000 plus in repairs and fast. And the hardest part, it's not just poverty. It's neglect, generational, systemic, ongoing. You ever live somewhere that feels like the city forgot it existed but still remembered to send the tax bill? Welcome to North Tulsa. Want to take a walk? You better have hiking boots, hazard insurance, and a solid life philosophy. You've got cracked pavement, missing sections, and the occasional random couch someone left out in 2011. And yes, it's still there. Number 11. Niobrara, Nebraska. Niobrara has moved twice in the last century to avoid being wiped off the map. And spoiler alert, the water's still coming. Population barely 350 and dropping like the cell signal near the river. It's tucked along the Missouri River in northeast Nebraska, which sounds peaceful until you realize the river is slowly trying to evict the entire town. In 2019, historic flooding wiped out bridges, roads, and a big chunk of local infrastructure. FEMA showed up, but full recovery still a work in progress. Average home price around $90,000. Sounds cheap, right? Until you factor in flood insurance, rural repair costs, and the joy of seasonal evacuations. Job market, agriculture, and tourism. Which means if the corn's not growing and the river's too high, you're out of options. Emotionally, you're living in a place that knows it's sinking. There's community pride, sure, but also a quiet sense of dread every time it rains just a little too hard. Here's a fun thing about Niobrara. Your GPS will say a road exists, but surprise, it washed away in 2019. Driving here is like a game of Oregon Trail meets Mario Kart. Be honest. Would you ever live in a town that's moved twice because of floods? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments. Number 10. Pahrump, Nevada. Pahrump, Nevada, where the welcome sign should probably just say, "So what are you running from?" It's one of those towns that sounds made up, like a fake desert city from a post-apocalyptic video game. But no, Pahrump is very real. And for the last decade, it's been pitched as an affordable alternative to Las Vegas. Spoiler, it's not that affordable, and it's barely an alternative. Population 45,000 plus and growing, but not in a good way. More like a storage unit filling up with people who couldn't make it work in Vegas. Median house. Hold income approximately $50,000, well below the national average. Violent crime rate 35% higher than the US average, with property crime creeping up too. Healthcare access, 1 hospital, 1 for everyone. And job market, unless you're into retail, retirement services, or extremely niche adult entertainment, opportunities are thin. And yes, it's famous for legal brothels, which is fine. You do you, but that should never be the first bullet point in the Chamber of Commerce brochure. Pahrump is like that friend who swears they're low-key thriving after leaving the city. But you visit, and their house is 108 degrees, there's no furniture, and they're growing lettuce in a bathtub. Imagine your face is a microwaved brick. That's Pahrump in July. If your town is famous for brothels, fireworks, and heat exhaustion, is that a red flag or a vibe? Drop in the comments. Number 9. Gary, Indiana. Once upon a time, Gary, Indiana was a booming steel town. Mid-century industrial pride, blue-collar grit, solid jobs. Today, it's less boom, more echo. And that echo is mostly the sound of vacant buildings creaking in the wind. Population dropped from 180,000 in the 1960s to around 66,000 today. That's not a decline, that's an evacuation. Violent crime rate 3.6 times the national average. Carjacking, shootings, arson, take your pick. Median household income approximately $33,000. That's about half the US average. A Reddit user summed it up perfectly. Gary feels like the set of a zombie movie and someone forgot to yell cut. Yes, you can buy a house in Gary for like $20,000, but ask yourself, why is it $20,000? Answer, because you'll probably spend $40,000 fixing the roof, $15,000 on security, and $30,000 in therapy. Gary, Indiana, where you can afford the house of your dreams, but might also dream of escaping it every night. When your neighbors include a vacant factory, a stray dog named Chance, and a Walgreens that closes before dark just to be safe, you start wondering if maybe your relocation spreadsheet needs a few more tabs. Number 8. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Centralia is the only town in America where the biggest HOA issue is the earth actively burning underneath your house. No metaphor, no exaggeration, literal fire. Since 1962, an underground coal seam has been burning beneath Centralia. That's over 60 years of non-stop fire, toxic gases, collapsing ground, and a slow-motion evacuation that never really ended. Population once 1,400, now fewer than 5 residents remain. Yes, single digits. Homes nearly all demolished by the state, streets removed, zip code effectively retired. Air quality, carbon monoxide, and other gases still vent from cracks in the ground. Property value functionally zero. You can't get a mortgage, insurance, or basic utilities. Emotionally, it's unsettling. No neighbors, no stores, no school buses, just smoke drifting from the ground like the town is quietly exhaling something it shouldn't. And what nobody tells you is, this fire could burn for another 200 years. I love how Centralia still technically has road signs like "Slow Children at Play." Where? Who? The only thing playing here is carbon monoxide and gravity. Some towns worry about crime at night. Centralia worries about sinkholes opening in daylight. Number 7. Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. There's a town in New Mexico called Truth or Consequences, which sounds like the setting of a dystopian game show. And honestly, that might be more stable than what's actually happening there. Originally named Hot Springs, this place changed its name in 1950 after a radio contest. Cute idea. Unfortunately, the truth is, this town has been slowly crumbling for decades. Median household income just under $31,000 compared to the US average of over $75,000. Poverty rate nearly 33%, one of the highest in New Mexico. Violent crime rate 60% higher than the national average. Population growth basically flatlined. If you're under 40 and have a job that isn't remote, there's almost zero reason to move here. A local said it best on Reddit. It's like someone designed a town for retirees in 1972 and then forgot to hit save. Nothing says economic opportunity like a city that's only on the map because of a radio dare. Can we talk about the roads for a second? Driving in Truth or Consequences feels like playing Mario Kart on a cracked asphalt DLC. There are hot springs, yes, but half of them are behind fences or have weird names like Sacred Mineral Silence Vortex. Number 6. Delmarva Peninsula. The Delmarva Peninsula sounds made up, like someone mashed 3 states into one regional fever dream. Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and hoped the geography would figure itself out. But the real issue, it's a gorgeous coastline wrapped around a slow-motion infrastructure crisis. Average income rural parts around $28,000 to $34,000. Healthcare access spotty, especially in remote areas. Some counties have 0 hospitals. Sea level rise, the Chesapeake Bay region is one of the fastest sinking coastlines in the U.S. Flood insurance premiums exploding, up to 300% increases in some areas. People move here thinking, peace and quiet. Then they realize the Wi-Fi barely loads Zillow. The nearest grocery store is 35 minutes away, and their basement just turned into a bayou again. A local read, "Eider nailed it. It's like the East Coast version of a desert island, except with mosquitoes, mold, and bad broadband. It's the only place where you can be 12 feet above sea level and still somehow need an evacuation plan. And the drivers, if you survive Route 50 on a summer Friday, congratulations, you've unlocked Level 9 beach traffic boss." Like this video if you've ever considered moving somewhere for the quiet lifestyle, then remembered you actually like hospitals, roads, and power lines. Subscribe for survival tips like, don't move to a sinking swamp with no cell service, even if Zillow says it's charming. Number 5. The Villages, Florida. If you took Disney World, drained out the children, replaced them with 75,000 golf carts, and then added a healthy dose of HOA rules and suspiciously high clap rates, you'd get the Villages, Florida. Yes, it looks like Pleasantville. No, you probably shouldn't move there. Median age over 71 years old. STD rates among seniors, let's just say bingo night gets weird. Median home price approximately $400,000 plus in some areas. Not exactly budget-friendly. Job market basically non-existent unless you're a nurse, bartender, or golf cart mechanic. The Villages is the only place where you can get sunburned, play pickleball, and catch an STD all before noon. And that's just Tuesday. If your idea of paradise is choreographed golf cart parades, themed restaurants with names like the Gator Grill, and 24/7 surveillance from your HOA president, the Villages has you covered. Picture yourself cruising through palm-lined streets in your monogrammed golf cart. The sun is shining, someone waves, you wave back. 30 seconds later, they post on Facebook that your driveway looks low effort. It's peace with a petty twist. Number 4. Eagle Pass, Texas. A border town caught in permanent whiplash, Eagle Pass is one of those places where geography decides your fate, sitting right on the U.S.-Mexico borders. They're along the Rio Grande. This town isn't just near the action, it is the action. And that's the problem. Median household income around $32,000, less than half the national average. Poverty rate roughly 30%, one of the highest in Texas. Job market dominated by government, retail, and low-wage service work. Summer heat regularly, 105 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, with heat indexes that feel personal. A local wrote online, "Some days it's calm and friendly, other days it feels like the whole country is arguing in your front yard." Emotionally, you're living in a town that's constantly politicized, constantly under a microscope, and constantly reacting instead of planning. Eagle Pass is where people say, "It's a great place to live," right before adding, "As long as nothing big happens." Something big is always happening. This isn't Texas's warm heat. This is open the door and question your life choices heat. You don't walk anywhere after noon. You teleport from AC to AC like it's a survival game. Could you live somewhere that's calm one day and chaos the next just because of where it sits on a map? Yes or no? Be honest. Number 3. Jackson, Mississippi. In 2022, an entire U.S. capital city ran out of clean drinking water. Not for an hour, not for a day, for weeks. That city was Jackson, Mississippi, and the aftermath is still unfolding. Jackson has become the poster child for what happens when aging infrastructure, political infighting, and generational disinvestment collide. Population just under 150,000 and dropping fast. Poverty rate approximately 25%. National average is 11.5%. Violent crime rate 92.6 per 10,000, nearly 4 times the U.S. average. Median home value approximately $60,000 because no one's buying. It's not just inconvenient, it's expensive. Living in Jackson means rolling the dice every time you turn on the tap, every time you drive over a pothole deep enough to host koi fish, and every time your kid's school has a surprise closure. Let's talk roads. Jackson's potholes are less bumps and more terrain features. You don't drive, you navigate. I've seen sinkholes with Instagram accounts. One guy posted that he hit a pothole so bad his radio changed stations. Picture this: warm southern air, magnolia trees, jazz drifting from an open bar downtown. You think, hey, maybe this isn't so bad. Then a boil water advisory hits, your power flickers, and a nearby car disappears into what used to be a road. Some cities invest in the future. Jackson's still paying for the last century. Number 2. Whittier, Alaska. Welcome to the strangest town in America. Whittier is a town of about 200 people. That's not a typo. The entire population lives in one 14-story building called Begich Towers. You've got your homes, the police station, the grocery store, the church, the laundromat, all under one roof. Yes, it's real. No, you're not in a Netflix thriller. Accessible only via a single tunnel that closes at night. Literal town curfew. Winter lasts 8 months, and the wind is like getting slapped by ice in every direction. Jobs mostly seasonal tourism, marine industry, and government. Crime surprisingly low, probably because there's nowhere to run. You think apartment living has thin walls? Try communal existence with no exit strategy until 7 a.m. when the tunnel reopens. Whittier for people who want small-town vibes and big building energy, plus a built-in excuse to cancel plans forever. Imagine getting locked inside your entire town because the mountain tunnel closes at night. Want to order pizza? Better plan a week ahead. Want sunlight? Wait until May. Want a norm? I'll walk? You'll be doing laps in the hallway between the community library and Janet's laundry line. Wait, just to clarify, we're not making fun of living in one building. We're making fun of getting trapped in one building by geography, ice, and tunnel regulations. There's a difference. Barely. Number 1. Lake Lanier, Georgia. The surface looks peaceful. The stats say otherwise. Lake Lanier is a man-made lake just northeast of Atlanta, originally created in the 1950s by flooding several towns. Yup, they flooded actual towns to build this thing. Churches, cemeteries, entire streets are still underwater. Now it's a boating and vacation hotspot with 700 miles of shoreline and a reputation that makes even locals nervous. Over 700 deaths since it opened. Boating accidents, drownings, freak incidents, many unexplained. In 2022 alone, there were 8 confirmed drownings and 6 boat crashes according to the Georgia DNR. Locals swear the lake has a pulling force, like metaphorically haunted or literally dangerous. You decide. Housing is expensive near the lake, but doesn't come with urban amenities. So, you're paying for risk and fog. Living near it feels like flirting with a ghost. Sure, you get lake views and a peaceful vibe, but behind that postcard is a brutal track record and 0 guarantees. The area struggles with overdevelopment, understaffed emergency crews, and wild party boat culture that feels like a mix between a yacht club and a bar fight. Also, traffic. There are only 2 decent roads in, and if one closes, congratulations. You now live at the lake forever. Have you ever been to a place that's both gorgeous and stressful? That's Lake Lanier. One minute you're kayaking past a sunset, next minute you're in a Facebook argument about whether or not the lake is cursed. Imagine soft mornings with cool lake air and quiet canoe rides under sunrise light, birds overhead, trees shimmering on the glassy water. Now imagine that under all of that is the skeleton of a town, and your neighbors keep calling it the lake that eats boats. Suddenly, that beauty feels a little off. Lake Lanier, where your HOA fees are high, your odds of weirdness are higher, and the water may or may not be whispering your name. Like this video if you're slightly terrified but still weirdly tempted to visit Lake Lanier with a GoPro and 0 survival instincts. Subscribe if you want to avoid accidentally moving somewhere haunted, overpriced, or wildly on fire. Think of it as real estate self-defense.